I'm Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman. Brandi's off today. I'll be hosting the show. Coming up, Seattle mayoral candidates reach peak levels of desperation. Also, no National Guard in Portland for now. And I don't know, I guess climate change isn't going to kill us after all. That and much more coming up today on this Halloween edition of Undivided. If you want to support Brandi's show, I really think you should do that. Go to undividedpod.com, undividedpod.com. Click on the banner that says support the show for $5. Well, usually I use our Halloween episode as an opportunity to make fun of a politician I don't like. I was Bob Ferguson last year, but this year I'm honoring the only sane Democrat left in America, Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman, the man we didn't know we'd turn out to love. I gotta say, given that my hair is my most beautiful quality, feels weird to cover it up. Feels quite weird to cover it up. But you know what? I don't know. I think I do a pretty convincing
It's pretty
John
convincing.
Fetterman.
It's really good.
Especially now that he's lost all that weight and I've lost, my COVID weight. I feel like we're doing great. So, Senator, in no way is my costume today intended to make fun of you. It is intended to honor you for being just a stand-up guy. And I also will say, I understand why you wear a sweatshirt and basketball shorts every day. It's really quite comfortable.
Why
I imagine
not?
that if I had, what's happening underneath going on, that this would really give it some room. Really have some room down there. I understand why men wear basketball shorts. I'm not going to try to do John Fetterman voice and talking for the episode because I feel like it would be a 7-hour-long episode. Now, as good as my costume is, I died when I walked into the studio this morning. And I didn't immediately know what Nicole was. I just know she looked ridiculous. And then as soon as I saw the fanny pack she was wearing, it sent me because her costume is way better. So we'll do a picture quick. Do you know who she is? Wait, can you kill that bug for a second?
Yeah.
Do you know who Nicole is? Ah, yes. Well, how about I play a video just to remind you.
So this bigot here is...
I am not a bigot. I am not a bigot.
She said, our people, the alphabet mafia is ruining and running the world. Sweetheart, are we running the world? Is that what's happening? Is that, because that's what you said.
Oh my God.
Right. No, he's not joking. No.
Please.
Here we go. You're under arrest.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me?
Where'd he go? He ain't. I wish he could take that. No, it's not. You are insane.
Nicole is the triggered LGBTQ activist who attacked a signature gatherer and got put in cuffs. Where's your cart, Nicole?
Oh, here's my cart.
Isn't Nicole way more creative than me?
And my handcuff.
Because remember, she was an Instacart delivery lady.
Yeah, Instacart.
It's good. Yeah. Gosh, that is good.
And my signs, my ripped up ballots.
Gosh,
Don't
that's
worry,
good. And also, you want to show them your jugs?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now you know how it feels, because that's about the size of my jugs.
And then my lidocaine patch.
Oh, yeah, she had a lidocaine patch on her back. It's good stuff, Nicole. Wow, that is good stuff. Way too much fun for our Halloween edition of Undivided.
Once I said it was scary to our people.
Yes, quite scary.
I was actually embarrassed driving.
I didn't put this on until I got in because I was like, I am not driving down the highway like this. So, all right, we got a lot of news to get to, though. Fun. Okay, so we've been waiting on some court decisions for what's going to happen with the National Guard in Portland. We know for now the National Guard deployment is on pause. This from the Oregon Capitol Chronicle. Guard deployment in Portland stays blocked as Ninth Circuit reviews decision. So you'll know a 3-judge panel of the Ninth Circuit said, yes, of course, the president has the right to deploy resources to protect federal agents and assets. But now the larger Ninth Circuit wants an opportunity to weigh in. I'm just going to read this chunk for you so you understand sort of how this will work. A majority of judges on a federal appeals court want to review for errors a decision made by 2 of their peers greenlighting National Guard deployment to Portland. This means there will be no troop deployment until the review is complete, and such reviews typically take several weeks or more, which is, going to be frustrating for the Trump administration. It says at least 15 of the 29 judges of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals yesterday voted to grant lawyers for the state of Oregon an en banc or full court review of an October 20th order that came from two of the circuit's judges, Trump appointees. That decision overruled a lower court order that had been blocking President Trump from deploying the Guard. And it says such an intra-court review of Ninth Circuit decisions are extremely rare, granted to about 1 to 3 cases per year among the hundreds that Ninth Circuit judges across 9 states and 2 territories handle. So very rare for something like this to happen. But I would also say, I've always thought that the thing that is going to bring the Guard deployment to an end, or the ICE occupation rather, to an end in Portland is going to probably be the weather. Because I don't think that they have it in them to stick it out that long. And so honestly, by the time the en banc hearing happens, you're probably going to have nobody there or very few people there. And so it's frustrating, but it would be good to have a court ruling saying, yes, the president can do this. So in the meantime, we've been talking about the lack of action by the Portland Police Department. And it's really stunning. I mean, for 140 days, they do virtually nothing down there. Then all of a sudden over the weekend, before this, decision is going to come down, they have Portland Police, Portland State Police, or Oregon State Police in there, and they clear out this Antifa encampment. And I have my thoughts about why. I think it was to sort of have a posture of, we've got this handled before this decision. I also think maybe part of it has to do with the fact that you have these conservatives who've shown up in Portland and are basically trying to treat Antifa like Antifa treats everybody else, and it's led to more skirmishes, more fights, etc. So maybe it's just like, now the conservatives are here, so now we got to shut it down type thing. So I think there's a few things. But I got to say, I saw this tweet from the Portland Police Department, and I thought to myself, there's no way they think this makes the chief of police in Portland look good. So the chief of police, Bob Day, he sent out this picture. He said, had a great lunch at the old spaghetti factory in South Waterfront. Good food and good conversation with the owner about the impacts of the protest activity. The restaurant is open and safe to dine at. Please support our local businesses. And the Portland police sent that out and said, Chief managed to get out of the office for a quick lunch in the South Waterfront. So, wow, a couple things. If you're not familiar, the old spaghetti factory is right down the block from the occupation outside the ICE facility. And for many, many, many days and months, the Antifa goons have basically controlled those streets and who can move around on those streets. And for a long time, they were blocking the only entrance to the old spaghetti factory. And in fact, Nick Sorter, independent journalist, was down there, and he got an old spaghetti factory manager on camera who went up to Portland police and basically said, hey, we need people to be able to get to our restaurant. Here's that clip.
This is the only way to get in there? Okay, let me go tell them that if people are trying, when they're talking to them, hey, if they're trying to go to the spaghetti factory, let them through. So the spaghetti factory, this is currently their only way for customers to get in. So when you guys are talking to people, if they're wanting to go that way, can you just, if you're going to spaghetti factory, let them go to the left? Because otherwise we're now I didn't know this is the only way they have. So. Okay, cool.
So a couple things. Why are you asking Antifa's permission? So that's a couple weeks ago. Portland police, they're a weird little unit that's supposed to, work with protesters. This business came and told you they're blocking access to the only access to our restaurant, our business. We pay taxes, basically. And Portland police goes, I didn't know that. Let me go talk to them. And then he asks Antifa traffic control, hey, if people come by and you speak with them and they tell you they're going to the old spaghetti factory, will you just please let them through? You're the police department. Clear the streets. Tell them to let them through. And so if you go back to the post about old spaghetti factory, there's a couple things that are just so tone deaf about it. The chief, first of all, Portland police, he managed to get out of the office. Well, thanks for telling us that he doesn't get out of the office. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is like one of the first times he's even been down there. And you can go have lunch with the owner of the old spaghetti factory all you want. You can sit there and have endless pasta until the cows come home. But having lunch with him is meaningless if you're not going to stop the activity that's hurting his business. It's safe to dine at, but it's not safe. I mean, it's absolutely insane. And it's not a surprise coming from this chief who's been trying to downplay what's happening down there all along. And now his own department admits, oh, he finally got out of the office. Went down to the old spaghetti factory. Come on down. No, you could have, if you really cared about businesses and the old spaghetti factory, you could have cleared the streets day one and not allowed it to continue for months on end. And your police officers could have done their jobs and not deferred to Antifa for how citizens would be able to, and if citizens would be able to move around freely on the streets there. Now, as I've been mentioning, over the weekend, I went to Portland. The intent of my trip was because I was invited to come inside the ICE building. And we have this, right, Nicole? Was invited to come inside the ICE building and take a look around at how, their operations have had to adjust around this ongoing situation. I spoke with, up on the roof, I spoke with one of their assistant field office directors who wanted to hide his identity. And usually I wouldn't do that for government officials, but down in Portland, they've got these people's faces and their home addresses and family members' faces on flyers up on telephone poles. So I'll be damned if I contribute to one of these ICE agents or federal agents being doxxed or being harassed or hurt at their homes. But we talked about, I think, the fact that this has, obviously gone on for a long time. For the people who work in that building, it's a pretty unpleasant situation. But there's this very clear confusion among protesters about what exactly happens in that building and about who these agents are, who they're clashing with on a daily basis. Because the agents that come out and have these face-to-face with protesters, they're not ICE agents. They're Federal Protective Services. They're there to protect the building. And they're doing that. And while they do that, guess what? ICE, Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, is continuing to do their jobs. Here's a clip. So is this like a 24-hour sort of operation dealing with the protests, would you say?
It's from the morning almost until like 1, 2 o'clock, depending on the day. Yeah. And I would say Thursday to Sunday is the most busiest compared to Monday to Wednesday. So yes.
I mean, you guys must be wondering sort of if there's going to be any end to it.
We really don't know. We hopefully with the weather stuff changes, but really right now we're thinking it's going to be for forever, I guess.
For the most part, you've got Federal Protective Services dealing with the protesters. To what extent are you guys able to do your job and continue to carry out immigration enforcement?
So immigration enforcement, regardless of what's happening outside this building, our mission is going to continue. We're going to continue arresting illegals. It doesn't matter. The protest is not going to stop us.
So it's fair to say that if they think that this is somehow thwarting lawful immigration enforcement, that it's not.
It won't. Yeah. Our mission is to arrest illegal. And we're going to continue. The protest or not, we're going to continue with the mission. It doesn't matter if they're here day and night. We are still arresting people.
Just to be frank, I can't imagine coming to this work environment every day. I mean, I know you don't have a choice, but what's the morale like in here?
I'm not going to speak for everybody. For me, at one point, it's like when you live close to a train station or close to a railroad. At the beginning, you listen to the train coming with a lot of noise, but at one point you kind of fall asleep and you don't even pay attention anymore. Yeah. So, I mean, they make noise sometimes. If I'm writing a report in my office, I take a break. I go and do a little walk around the facility, and then I go back to my computer and complete my report.
Which I think is hilarious. He's like, at this point, it's just white noise. But it's a really good point, and I'm not discounting the seriousness of what's happening there. But Federal Protective Service agents are doing their jobs, and their job is to protect federal buildings, federal assets. And so they're doing that, and that allows ICE to just keep doing their job. So these protesters are out there probably thinking that what they're doing is having some sort of impact on ICE operations, and it's literally not at all. And I would argue, and I probably shouldn't even say this, that the protesters all being there kind of takes some heat off ICE agents in the field. Because now the protesters aren't out finding them in the field and going to places that they're conducting enforcements in the field. They're all at a building that ICE agents don't need to be able to do their jobs and make arrests out in the field. And then, by the way, people aren't held there. Immigrants who are facing deportation aren't held there. You know where they're sent? Immediately, same day, I was told, they go up to the ICE detention center in Tukwila. They're all the way up to Washington. So they're driven 4 hours, same day. They don't spend, and they never have. That's not a detention facility. So it's just kind of hilarious when you think about it that they, these protesters have really convinced themselves over 145 days that they're somehow helping these people who are being deported. Like literally not at all. All you're doing is you're just out there cold, dirty, miserable, being arrested for literally nothing. So good for you. All right, if you're joining our live stream late, it is our Halloween episode. I see a lot of people in the live chat freaking out a little bit. I'm John Fetterman. Nice to meet you. Not making fun of John Fetterman with my Halloween costume. I am honoring John Fetterman for his bravery and for his... I put out some emojis teasing to see if people could guess what my costume was. And I put out an American flag, a tent, a handshake, the Israeli flag, and then a bald man. So I'm a politically homeless, because I think he's politically homeless, friend of Israel with no hair. A lot of people said Larry David. I don't know if anybody got John Fetterman, but very fun. All right, you know that the election is only days away when candidates start resorting to desperate tactics. And that's what's happening in the Seattle mayoral race. Also, I'll take this as a reminder to turn your ballots in, please, over the weekend. Don't wait. It really just screws with the campaigns that you actually support if you wait until the very last minute, because then they're spending time and resources trying to ballot harvest, trying to knock on your door, send you mailers. Just turn the thing in, okay? Gosh, that was kind of bossy. Please turn your ballot in. That would be really nice. So the Seattle mayoral race is just turning into a you-know-what show. We're probably going to elect a socialist. Remember the story last week? We had quite a bit of fun with it. Katie Wilson can barely afford to live in Seattle. That's why she wants to be mayor. And in it, they talked about how this 43-year-old white socialist woman is a Nepo baby, who her parents are academics in New York and also authors, and they just send her money and, pays for her childcare, even though her husband doesn't even have a job. Like, he could get a job and pay for childcare, or if he doesn't have a job, why isn't he just caring for your child? None of it makes any sense. She couldn't even tell KUOW how much money her parents give her, and she wants to run a city. She's only been here for a few years. Like, everything about her life is privilege, privilege, privilege. But as I said, it kind of makes sense that she's a socialist because she's used to getting things for free. And she wants other people to get things for free as well because it just feels so darn good. So, of course, the leftist news organizations in the city of Seattle are now trying to run cover for her because they, realize that this line of attack is actually probably effective with some progressives. And so there's a far left podcast called The Burner. Katie Wilson gets money from her parents for childcare, and that's not the own the mayor thinks it is. So in it, they come to the defense of Katie Wilson and blast Mayor Bruce Harrell for using this whole Nepo baby thing as a late stage attack ad. It says over the weekend, Mayor Bruce Harrell's campaign sent a text to Seattle voters overblowing a few lines in a KUOW post to frame his progressive challenger Katie Wilson as some kind of overgrown trust fund kid cosplaying poor while mooching off her parents' New York money. Well, that's exactly what she's doing. This morning, Wilson's campaign clapped back, calling Harrell out of touch for mocking how families help each other scrape by in an expensive city. And then they add this line, to be clear, Wilson doesn't even have an effing bed frame. This is not someone secretly living in the lap of luxury. I don't know, what? Okay, so does she have a mattress on a floor? I guess I'm confused. She doesn't even have a bed frame. What is that? It doesn't even make any sense. But also this same Hannah Krieg, who was so bad she got fired from The Stranger. That tells you how bad. Who wrote this, she was on X and she was saying, stop acting like Katie Wilson's some sort of champagne socialist. She doesn't even have a bed frame. I said, no, she's not a champagne socialist. She's just a regular socialist who thinks that she's owed things, reliant on other people, entitled. That's just a regular old socialist. We don't have to call her a champagne socialist. But here's the campaign video Katie Wilson put together with her mommy in it, to sort of clap back, as the Burner said, at these accusations that she's nothing more than a Nepo baby.
I'm Katie Wilson, and I'm running for Seattle mayor. I want to address the very first scandal of my political life.
Doesn't he know that childcare is really expensive in Seattle, and aren't families supposed to take care of each other?
Yeah, honestly, I think he's kind of out of touch. I mean, Harrell's been in office for almost 2 decades, and now he's suddenly talking about affordability. He even says that he wants to expand childcare.
Well, that's good, but right before the election, it seems kind of strategic.
Yeah, he's saying a lot about how he wants to help working families and stand up against corporate interests. But you know what? There's $2 million in big money betting that he doesn't follow through.
That is $2 million I do not have to give you, my dear.
Liar.
That's okay, Mom. I really appreciate you chipping in for childcare during a stressful campaign. And I also know that a lot of families aren't that lucky. That's why I'm going to fight for affordable childcare and affordable housing so that working families can live in this city.
That's my Katie. All right, moms and grandmas, get out there and vote.
Okay, I don't know if that's effective or not to combat the sort of Nepo baby allegations. I don't think having mommy in your campaign ad, I think it kind of almost to me reinforces it. Like, mommy, come rescue me. Mommy, they're being mean to me because you send me money, so will you come be in a campaign ad with me? So I just think it's all ridiculous. Now, there is, she's not the only one who's trotting out these desperate tactics, having, friendly news outlets in the city defend her, which I think is so funny because The Stranger, which these burner people who do the podcast came from, is always about tax the rich and the rich are evil and all this stuff. Well, her parents are the rich and she's the rich. She's a trust fund baby. And now they're defending her to high heaven. It's just they have no standards at all. Coming up next, we're going to talk about Bruce Harrell's last-minute desperate attempt. Things are bad, looking bad for Bruce Harrell when he starts making the rounds on conservative media. We'll have that. But first, if you're thinking about selling your home, I don't know, moving somewhere more sane, reach out to our friend Wes Jones at sellwithwes.com. Sellwithwes.com. Wes and his team have an innovative marketing strategy. They're going to look at what the market is doing, and they're going to make sure that they are presenting your home in a way that is going to appeal to today's home buyers, which it's constantly changing. And one of the things today's home buyers need to see is they need to see a home that's a little more turnkey ready. And so that might mean that you have to make some cosmetic upgrades. It's not like the days where you could just put whatever on the market and it's going to just sell with all cash offers in a day. So you got to put a little more work in. So Wes can help you with that. So if you know that that's something you're going to need, Liz is one undivided viewer who reached out to Wes after deciding that he offered exactly what she needed. She really needed the listing boost concierge service. And he was also able to help her with some staging. And she said it just worked out great for her. So sellwithwes.com, sellwithwes.com, a better way to sell your home. All right, so Nicole, you need to stop adjusting your fake boobs over there, which are balloons, because all I hear is that horrible sound of balloons rubbing together.
Sorry.
Maybe you just take them out for the rest of the show.
Okay.
You know that sound? It's like,
Maybe during the next Harrell cut.
Fake boobs. Anyway, we're professionals here on Undivided. We are nothing if not professionals. So Bruce Harrell, all of a sudden we start hearing from our friends in conservative media that they're having Bruce Harrell on. Oh, Bruce Harrell's going to be on my show today. Weird they never reached out to us. I don't think he's quite maybe ready for that much of a leap. But and it's obvious the tactic here. He understands that even though there are very few Republicans in the city of Seattle, he needs every single one of them because the further to the left people are going to go for Katie Wilson. And he did not perform well in the primary, so he needs to get the Republican vote. So he went on a couple of our friends' shows, but he didn't do a very good job. I certainly don't know if he convinced. Now, for the record, I do think Republicans should vote for Bruce Harrell. I hate to even say that. It makes me die a little bit inside, but Katie Wilson's not an option. So I actually agree with the fact that Republicans in Seattle, I know you're out there, you have to vote for Bruce Harrell. Doesn't mean he did a good job selling himself to conservative audiences on Seattle radio. So our friend John Curley over at Cairo Radio had Bruce Harrell on, and Bruce Harrell said the craziest thing with this interview about business owners basically being the ones who are responsible for figuring out why they're being robbed so often.
I met with the store owners on shoplifting.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, people are shoplifting. Sometimes you're losing millions of dollars at an establishment. I asked them the question, why are they shoplifting? I just asked them, are they doing it to resell goods at a smaller store? Are they hungry? What? And I was shocked that they didn't have the data to support the problem. And they're not going to solve the problem until they know who's going in their store to steal. And so part of that was in my mind.
But that's not their job. Their job is to sell toothpaste. Their job is not to know why the person stole.
Their job is to look at their profit and loss statements, to look at where they have shrinkage, where they get increase revenue and decrease expenses. God. And if shrinkage is one of the issues, their job is to address it.
Are you kidding me? It's the job of business owners to figure out why people are stealing from them. Oh, because they have to look at their profit loss and they need to address it. That is one of the more insane things I've ever heard Bruce Harrell say. And how tone deaf when he's there speaking to a conservative audience for him to not realize, God, this is a dumb thing to say, even if I believe it. But it just makes no sense. So what good does that information do to business owners? And I mean, they know why people are stealing from them. It's drugs. They're stealing from them to fund a drug habit. We all know that. That's not a secret. They're not stealing from them because they're poor and hungry or whatever it is. They're stealing from them to fund a drug habit. That is why the retail theft issue has gotten so severe. So they know that. But even if it were something else, and even if they, charted it, like, oh, okay, sit down. We got you for shoplifting. Tell us your life story. Wasn't that Bruce Harrell who also said, I want to know the life story of people who commit 7 felonies? It's like, okay, so that's what you want. So what is a business owner going to do with that information? They're going to bring it to you and expect you to deal with the underlying issues that are causing people to steal from them. But you already know the reason people are stealing, and you're not doing anything about it as mayor. And that's one of the reasons. It kills me so much. I mean, maybe Seattle gets what it deserves and Katie Wilson is the mayor or whatever, but Bruce Harrell, really, is he that much better? What an asinine thing to say. And good for John Curley on calling him out and being like, that's not their job. Their job is to steal stuff like toothpaste. Your job is one of the core, basic, fundamental jobs of government is public safety. And if a government cannot succeed at public safety, there's no way it can succeed at anything else. And he won't even properly identify the problem. Oh, people are poor. I guess, a lot of people who use drugs are poor, but why are they poor? Because they're addicted to drugs and they can't hold down a job and they're living on the streets. Mayor Bruce Harrell, the glutton for punishment. He also went on with our friend Jason Rantz.
I don't usually afford this opportunity to folks, or at least they don't get to do it in person. They yell about me all the time. I have said, I've reported, I've heard many times that you are incredibly lazy as a leader, that you like to show up, you like to shake hands, you like to give speeches, you like to schmooze, but you don't necessarily like the day-to-day work, and you don't engage in that as often as people would like. I know you disagree with that, so I'll give you the opportunity.
Well, that's pretty offensive, and it also plays into a stereotype that I fully resent. So I'm the person that graduated valedictorian and was an MVP in 3 sports. I'm the person that was an academic All-American coming out of college, 3-year starter, then went to law school, and then went to grad school on the dean's list. I was a person who was a chief counsel of a major corporation, a managing partner at a law firm. I was elected twice to be city council president, the 4th time in our city's history. I have a history of high performance, always.
So, okay, a couple of those things, sure, that's a relevant thing to answer, but I don't care if you started on your high school and college sports teams. That was like 100 years ago, okay? I just don't care. All right, maybe like 45 years ago. But to say, oh, that's a stereotype, because, he's saying that there's a stereotype that black men are lazy. But the reality is that this is something that has been said about Bruce Harrell. And for some, regardless of your skin tone, so what you're saying is no one can ever accuse a black leader of being lazy or not invest in the job because it's a stereotype and he resents it. No, I've heard this too, and it's very obvious when you hear him speak, is that he loves talking. He likes doing a lot less. And I've said that from the beginning about Bruce Harrell. Big talk, little action. And maybe that's the least damaging thing that can happen to Seattle, because maybe if there's little action, it's fewer crazy things that they can do. I don't know, but you can see the desperation there. There is no way in hell that Bruce Harrell is sitting down with John Curley or Jason Rantz or any other conservative in the city unless he believes he's about to lose. And he's desperate. And it's also mixed messages, because the last 2 months after the primary, he's been trying to appeal to the far left. Oh, Trump, horrible, evil, all these things, doing whatever he can to appeal to the far left. And now he's like, oh my gosh, reverse course, far right, or even right, or conservative, right of center, I need to appeal to all of you. So it's really just kind of an embarrassing thing to watch. I'm always of the belief, and maybe this is why I wouldn't be a good political candidate, that you're just yourself, and if that's enough for you to win, great. If it's not, then you don't deserve to win. I just don't ever fundamentally believe someone deserves to win if they have to hide who they really are in order to do it. Because that means voters voted for someone who you aren't. Like Bob Ferguson. It's just a weird thing. All right, coming up next, I have good news, everyone. I have great news. Climate change is not going to kill us. It's not going to kill us. According to the man who's been telling us climate change is going to kill us for years and years and years. Our segment Unbelievable coming up next. First, if you think you need to find some creative ways to save money in your household, it might be staring you right in the face and something you just pay every single year and you don't even think about. You don't think there's an opportunity to save money, but there probably is. Firstmark Insurance, firstmarkinsurance.com. You have to have insurance. The question is, do you have the right insurance? Are you paying for insurance you don't have, that you don't even need? And do you have it at the right price? Why do all that yourself when you can have someone else, an expert, do it for you for free? A local, wonderful company like Firstmark Insurance. So many Undivided viewers and listeners, I just got another email yesterday, are big fans of Firstmark and have become members of the Firstmark family. And that's because Firstmark does exactly what we tell you they're going to do. You go to them, you set up time for the Firstmark Challenge. They'll talk to you about your insurance needs, what's going on with you and your family. They'll go out and they'll get the insurance to match those needs at a price that works for you. And that's it. And you never pay them anything. Firstmarkinsurance.com, firstmarkinsurance.com. Schedule time to take the Firstmark Challenge today. All right, Bill Gates is now admitting, no, climate change is not going to kill us. Let's talk about it in our segment, Unbelievable. People on the live chat are really having a hard time still with my costume. For people who stumble upon this clip on the internet 6 months from now, this is our Halloween edition. I don't really look like this. All right, this is crazy. This is crazy. Although I'm happy about it, obviously, because I think it'll actually have a fundamental shift in where money is going and all of these things, because Democrats have been acting like absolutely, former Governor Jay Inslee, the earth is going to end, climate change is an existential threat. We have to spend billions and billions and billions of dollars on it. And who has been one of the ringleaders of the climate industrial complex? Bill Gates. Well, now, for some reason, which to me, I'm still trying to figure out, because there's some strategy here, there's some reason, some other grift going on. Bill Gates is now saying, climate change isn't going to end the earth. I think that's pretty significant. He posted this, 3 tough truths about climate. What I want everyone to know. Climate change is serious, but we've made great progress. We need to keep backing the breakthroughs that will help the world reach zero emissions. But we can't cut funding for health and development, programs that help people stay resilient in the face of climate change to do it. It's time to put human welfare at the center of our climate strategies, which includes reducing the green premium to zero and improving agricultural health in poor communities. He goes on to say, a couple truths here. Truth number 1, climate change is a serious problem, but it will not be the end of civilization. Why is it taking you so long to say that? Because nothing substantially has changed with the climate. You take all these individual efforts, they're not adding up to much, especially with China out there. And as we've talked about on this show, nuclear ultimately is going to be the solution to climate change and to the slow global warming. He says, temperature is not the best way to measure our progress on climate. What are you talking about? I thought that was the whole way that you were measuring whether the world was going to end and we were going to make progress on climate. I'm confused. Then he says, health and prosperity are the best defense against climate change. Prosperity? For being such a rich guy, I think you've always kind of looked down on other people getting rich, right? None of this makes any sense. It's totally backward to everything that they've been preaching. And maybe it's because he's trying to turn, his focus to another sort of global grift. Is it health? I don't know. He says there's a doomsday view of climate change that goes like this. In a few decades, cataclysmic climate change will decimate civilization. The evidence is all around us. Just look at the heat waves and storms caused by rising global temperatures. Nothing matters more than limiting the rise in temperature. He said, fortunately for all of us, this view is wrong. Although climate change will have serious consequences, particularly for people in the poorest countries, it will not lead to humanity's demise. People will be able to live and thrive in most places on Earth for the foreseeable future. Gosh, wow, this is great news. Emissions projections have gone down, and with the right policies and investments, innovation will allow us to drive emissions down much further. Unfortunately, the doomsday outlook is causing much of the climate community to focus too much on near-term emissions goals, and it's diverting resources from the most effective things we should be doing to improve life in a warming world. He said, even if the world takes only moderate action to curb climate change, the current consensus is that by 2100, the Earth's average temperature will probably be between 2 degrees Celsius and 3 degrees Celsius higher than it was in 1850. Interesting. So I think it's all about trying to figure out where is he now going to try to shift investments. And then that's when you can figure out where the grift is, right? Is it going to be less on climate, more on global health initiatives, which he's also invested in heavily and encouraged other people to invest in and focus on heavily? And look, I mean, people being healthy is great, but look at where so much of the USAID money went to like insane LGBTQ weird health initiatives that didn't do anything for anybody. So there's a grift here somewhere. I mean, they've been telling us, and I don't know how they can continue it. I mean, I think this will be great for Washington, because every time they try to bring up, oh, this is so serious, we need more money for climate, you'll be like, not even Bill Gates agrees with you. Not even Bill Gates agrees with you. So I don't know what the long-term implications of him saying this are, but it's also infuriating, right? Like, how many people have scared the next generation into believing that the Earth is going to end? We had on a climate professor, Dr. Matthew Wylicki, and he was great. And he talked about, as a professor, he had students telling him they didn't even want to have kids and start families because they thought the Earth was going to end. People like Bill Gates have done that. People like Bill Gates have convinced young people not to have children and build a future for themselves because the Earth is going to end. And now he's like, oh, never mind. Moving on. Crazy. I want to bring this up because it's something I'm going to talk to Zach Abraham about in our next edition of Swamp Watch. And I just think it's fascinating. From the Center Square, California State Retirement Fund lost 71% of $500 million put into clean energy, and they won't say how. Another consequence of the clean energy grift. It says the California Public Employees Retirement System for state employees lost 71% of $468 million in investments in clean energy and technology, state records show, but they won't explain how. These losses are a major problem for California taxpayers, who at least for now are the backstop for underfunded state pensions, but also for state employees who trust to CalPERS, it's called, to CalPERS, to responsibly manage their retirement plans. CalPERS says its pension benefits are only 79% funded, leaving the state and its taxpayers on the hook for the other 21%. According to a recent report from Reason Foundation, CalPERS pensions shortfall is approximately $188 billion. So they put a bunch of money, $500 million, into clean energy investments, and they've lost 71% of that money. It's just wild. Anything around climate, just absolutely a non-starter for me. Okay, in national news, I got to talk about this epic hearing that happened on political violence. Also, we're going to head to Florida, where another person is running for mayor as a socialist. But this time, there's Cubans there to stand in her way. First, if you are thinking that you might need a new roof, now is a really good time to check in with our friends at Valentine Roofing, 206 Roofing, 206 Roofing. When you see that red Valentine van at your neighbor's house, you know they're getting the Valentine experience, seamless communication, meticulous cleanup, and a team that always goes the extra mile. So they're not going to try to push you into a new roof. They do want to come check it out, and if it can be repaired, they're going to repair it for you. And look, if you do need a new roof and it's time, they also have flexible financing options, including 0 down and 0% interest. So that's really great. And they do much more than install roofs. If you need gutters, cleaned or installed, attic insulation, even exterior cleaning or custom holiday lighting, you can count on the pros at Valentine. So schedule your free estimate by calling 206 Roofing. Again, call Valentine for a free estimate, 206 Roofing, and please tell them that you heard about them right here on Undivided with me, John Fetterman. All right, so there was a hearing, congressional hearing on political violence, and we could go through a bunch of stuff from it. But this might be one of the best moments from a congressional hearing I've ever seen in my life. So I tend to think that congressional hearings have become a little worthless. I feel the same way about this. Neither side is there to actually learn anything. Both sides just have their witnesses who are gonna, get softball questions from the side that invited them and unhinged questions from the side that didn't. And no one's gonna come away with their minds changed at all. So that being said, Michael Knowles of the Daily Wire, it was fantastic. So Senator Cory Booker is just ranting and raving about violence on the right and political rhetoric and all of these things. And thank God Michael Knowles is a genius and he was ready for this moment. And he clapped back, as the burner would say, clapped back at Senator Cory Booker with this.
I think Senator Booker made a good point just a moment ago when he said we have to self-examine, we have to be introspective. And, I can't help but think of a line today. Jay Jones has the vision, commitment, and integrity to keep families safe and make sure every Virginian gets a fair shake in the justice system. I'll be working every day to ensure Jay wins this race. That's the endorsement of Senator Booker for a man who would seek to be the Attorney General of Virginia. This is a man who, if people have not been reading the news, has called for a Republican to be murdered, for his children to be murdered, for the children to die in their mother's arms in order to persuade the Republican to change his policy views, and a man who says that he would urinate on the graves of multiple Republicans. Senator Booker, in this spirit of introspection, is standing by this endorsement. So I suppose I would invite, perhaps I should have looked, because Senator Booker has left the room, and I think I can guess why. Senator Booker, I think, should practice what he preaches, because this is the kind of moment. You cannot have a professor who wants to teach students and is going to desire to kill half of them. You certainly cannot have law enforcement officers who would engage in this kind of violent rhetoric against half of their constituents. So long as anyone stands by an endorsement such as that, their words are meaningless. They are shedding crocodile tears on the topic of political violence.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think with the Jay Jones thing, what he did was so bad that what he said was so bad. I don't think anyone who's in a position like that, like Cory Booker, and doesn't speak out about it or continues to endorse him and continues to sing his praises. I mean, yeah, his words mean nothing on political violence. And unfortunately, there's far too many people like that in the Democratic Party. And I'm not saying there's not Republicans who will support and condone violence, but this is really a widespread issue on the Democratic side. I mean, I was down at that No Kings thing, and the number of people marching around, preaching violence, posters with Donald Trump's head cut off and all this stuff. I'm sorry, I'm not marching, no matter how much I dislike a politician. I'm never going to march next to someone, in concert with someone who's holding a sign wishing death on a politician. So that's pervasive, right? That's very concerning. All right, it is Wednesday. We don't have a show tomorrow, which is why we did our Halloween episode today, just in case it's not clear. And so we asked Miranda to come on anyway, and she saw my costume for the first time before we taped. But I don't know. I thought she might like to dress up as well for our Halloween edition of Florida Report. Florida Report.
It's not even controversial anymore. People know in Florida their freedoms are going to be respected.
Hello, Miranda.
Hello.
I'm John Fetterman.
I can see that. I have no idea where Brandi is.
You look like a very beautiful skeleton.
I am.
Very
beautiful skeleton.
Very elegante. I hear you have something that I've been looking for.
Ferguson's spine.
Oh, good. I was wondering where it went.
Right here.
You had it all along. Oh, my gosh. All right. Speaking of spineless cowards, we're going to talk about socialism on the segment today. So last time there was a real upheaval in New York City. People moved to Florida en masse. With Mamdani slated to be the next mayor of New York City, DeSantis was on Fox News last night, and he predicted a mass exodus.
If you say you're going to disband the NYPD, if you put the criminals back on the street, if you engage in far left policies that would make George Soros blush, people do respond to that. And of all the people that have migrated to Florida since I've been governor, I would say the number one reason they've left places like New York City under de Blasio, like they've left Chicago under this mayor and the previous mayor, like leaving San Francisco and Los Angeles, is public safety. Those leftist politicians turn their backs on the police, turn their backs on the rule of law, and then the citizens were the ones that paid the price. And I will tell you, the disproportionate impact on those far left policies that do help the criminal element is actually not even the wealthy people, although they're affected to a certain extent. It's the working class people. It's the middle class. Those are the folks that get affected the most. So I do think that he will spark migration out of the city, particularly if he follows through on his far left law enforcement policies.
Yeah, and DeSantis never one to miss an opportunity because he loves cops there. So he's saying if NYPD wants to leave, he would welcome them in Florida. Here's the cut.
I think it'll be an example of the voters of New York City committing an act of ballistic podiatry because it is going to come back and bite the city. He is so far left, and he mixes his leftism with Islamism. He's going to make the de Blasio years look like the golden age. And I can tell you in Florida, we're affected by this just with the law enforcement alone. If you're working in NYPD, do you want to go out there and risk your life knowing that the mayor hates you? No, a lot of them are not going to want to do that. And in Florida, we've established a $5,000 recruitment bonus. So if you are somebody that doesn't want to serve under that guy as mayor, you come to Florida, any state or local law enforcement agency, you get $5,000 right at the top.
There you have it. I mean, I don't blame him for saying New York's loss is going to be our gain.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's going to be, I think, the whole Republican Party's gain because this is like a national stage for how bad things are probably going to go. And we all get to kind of watch it happen from a distance. But I have a love-hate relationship with DeSantis inviting people down here because every time he does, our cost of living goes up. Yeah. But like, I get it. I mean, during pandemic, it was people wealthy enough to move, but public safety is a whole different issue. You know, if you are living in a place that you don't feel safe and your leadership's not making you safe, like I can imagine that regular working class families are going to leave this time as well.
Yeah, and I think it's just going to contribute to, and maybe this is a good thing, honestly, bluer states getting bluer, redder states getting redder, and people just moving to states that fit how they want to live and where they want to live. And then all the, liberals can just bathe in their crap hole policies by themselves. And then people who don't want that, who want public safety and low taxes, can move somewhere else. I mean, at the end of the day, is there anything really wrong with that? I don't think so. Yeah. All right. So speaking of socialists, so the people who don't want to live under socialism might flee New York City, but could they be fleeing into the arms of a socialist? So in Miami, which this sounds crazy to me, given how many Cubans are in Miami, there is a socialist running for mayor. What do we know about her?
We don't know a lot about her because you can scour the internet and there's just not much out there. But basically, Laura Anderson is part of the Socialist Party. She has lived in Miami for about 3 years, going on 4 years, and she's a railroad conductor. And she has a hero, and her hero is Fidel Castro.
There was not a whole lot of information we could find on you, campaign websites, and we did find, Ballotpedia, you did answer some questions. One question in particular stood out to us. It was, who do you look up to and whose examples and why? And there was one person that you wrote, you mentioned Fidel Castro. Mm-hmm. Can you explain?
Sure. I studied and read Fidel Castro. He was someone who pointed to women as some of the best leaders before the revolution. He explained the role of Jew hatred. He was someone who understood the African freedom struggle was totally tied to the Cuban Revolution. Malcolm X.
Oh, okay. First of all, she can't win in Miami, right?
No, definitely not. It's almost like the audacity to think you can even run when you put that information out there about yourself. She's not going to win.
And these anchors pressed her on the fact that you do have a lot of, people who fled Castro and their kids who are living in Miami, and they hate him.
So what do you say to the Cubans who live in Miami that cannot even stand to hear his name, that have lived through that?
I don't argue with people who aren't open to a discussion of how can we draw lessons from the Cuban Revolution. People, maybe someone who, like you said, is vehemently against Fidel and doesn't want to have a discussion. Okay, that's fine.
I don't think it's up for discussion, Miss Anderson, in Miami or in Miami-Dade County. There is no doubt that for some that could be political suicide to talk about Castro and to say that he's your hero.
Oh, well, I disagree.
Oh my God. And of course, she's this white, exactly what you'd think. Reminds me actually a lot of the Seattle mayoral candidate who's a total socialist. Oh, Cubans want to tell me what it was actually like to live under Fidel Castro? No, thanks. I was like, crazy.
It's crazy. And then, so when I was looking a little more into her, I found out that when she first moved to Miami, she lived a year in Hialeah. Hialeah is predominantly, if not overwhelmingly, Latino, majority Cuban. So can you imagine this woman like getting her coffee and then trying to talk to people about Fidel Castro? She probably got chased out of there. Now she lives in a different area of Miami. And like, she talks in that interview about how she's been to Cuba 3 times. And I'm like, I was flabbergasted to think that she could like sit there and speak about this. So like, well, I guess whatever. Yeah.
Well, she lived there for 3 years running for mayor because apparently that's what people do nowadays. So if she loses there, just send her to Seattle and she can be our mayor next. I'm sure people would be happy to elect her here. All right, Miranda, good stuff. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's not even controversial anymore.
People know in Florida their freedoms are going to be respected.
Communism's never worked anywhere it's tried. Socialism never works, but apparently everyone feels like, oh, it'll work here. Let's just try it again. Yeah, not a good idea. All right, we'll get to our subscriber show poll. Everybody's like, I miss Nicole's costume. We'll get to that in a moment. First, if you're a small to mid-sized landlord in the state of Washington, consider becoming a member of the Rental Housing Association of Washington. They are working hard down in Olympia to try to stop some of the nonsense policies that are really hurting housing providers, big and small, across Washington state. Stupid things like rent control, which we're going to continue to see, and it's not going to take very long, the devastating impacts of that new policy. They can also help you as a landlord navigate the complex rules and regulations that are constantly changing in different cities, counties, and statewide. So rhawa.org to become a member, rhawa.org. All right. So it is our Halloween edition because we do not have a show tomorrow. I'm going to be in D.C. The president and I are getting lunch. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to see the president this time. But, you know, obviously we're best friends. So, yeah, Halloween edition, I decided to honor John Fetterman, who's been such a pleasant surprise as one of the only sane Democrats left in America. And our friend Nicole, can we show the graphic? Decided to be an insane LGBTQ activist who took it upon herself while she was at a Fred Meyer picking up her Instacart delivery to harass and tear up signatures for a Let's Go Washington initiative. And then she FO'd because she got arrested almost immediately because a cop was there, and then she cried. That's good, Nicole. You even got the cart. You got the cuffs. You got that. Where did you get the fanny pack?
Amazon, where else?
Of course. And then you've got the tatas. Yeah. I made you take the tatas out though, because all I could hear over here were balloons rubbing together. Yeah, my beard is on really tight.
Really tight.
And I have to literally leave and get to the airport like this fast. So I've got to take my whole look off, which I've got my brow bone thing. This is, I don't know if this is coming off.
Maybe you should go to DC like that.
I don't think you can fly through TSA like this.
That's true.
There's no way.
Your computer wouldn't even
my computer wouldn't let me in, which I would hope not. But yeah, this beard, it's not going anywhere. It's just really not going anywhere.
Let me at it.
Oh yeah, Nicole's like, can't wait. All right, our daily subscribers show poll. Good stuff, Nicole. Mm-hmm. Creative. And you look like, please never cut your hair like that.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
I was embarrassed driving.
Yeah, not good. Not good. All right. What side do you believe will give in? I asked subscribers on Patreon, Locals, and X. What side do you believe will give in to bring the government shutdown to an end? Democrats, Republicans, or they'll both give in? They'll compromise a little bit. That's true. Nicole, what do you think?
So I really think the Democrats are going to have to let it go eventually because I don't think it's very clear that it's a whiny, we didn't win, this is all we've got, it's leverage. And so at some point, especially leading up to this, election day, they've got to let it go because they're trying to gain seats, and people, there's random polls that say like, oh no, people are blaming the Republicans. I do not think people are blaming Republicans. Republicans have the House, the Senate and the White House. Like, they don't have to do this.
Well, but I mean, that's the excuse Democrats are making, right?
Right.
Is they control it. Yeah, but if they could do it on their own, they would do it. And they've voted multiple times for a clean CR, basically funding the government at the levels it's at now. And that's not what Democrats want.
They don't
so
want
I
it.
tend to agree with you. Let's see. We are so split right now among subscribers. Over on locals, it's like 33, 33, 33.
Interesting.
Which is quite interesting. And
Because I do think that, Donald Trump is the art of the deal. He literally wrote the book on compromise, and they are not willing to compromise. And they keep trying to say that he is not willing to compromise.
I do not think Republicans will give in on this one, because it's about healthcare for illegals. Not as even over on Patreon. Most people, 52%, saying Democrats. Lisa says, I was thinking the Republicans, so they can look like the good guys, but I just don't think that they care.
No.
And I don't believe it would make them look like the good guys.
This is what they campaigned on,
right.
all of them.
You're not giving health care to illegals, and yes, that's what Democrats want to do. Tam, I know that the Democrats should give in, and I hope they will. They probably will be more invested into getting the SNAP cards going again. And I saw this really important comment over on locals. Matthew Cook said federal labor unions are putting the pressure on Dems to pass the clean CR. A week without SNAP and Dems will likely cave. And me, as John Fetterman, I've been calling on my party to reopen the government. And so, I think that they ought to do that. I said on X, as a committed Democrat, I'm dismayed my party is playing chicken with food security of 42 million Americans. I reject the political gamble that exposes a vulnerable constituency to widespread deprivation and chaos. So even me, Senator John Fetterman, a Democrat, believes that it's my party, and it is, that's stopping the government from reopening. We could just continue at the current levels of funding, but that's not good enough for them. So
I don't know what
see.
they
A couple
think,
more.
how they think they're going to get away with this.
No,
it's
and
just
it's not
making it worse.
As we'll talk about in Sanity Check, even the media is turning on them, once the media turns on them. Let's see. Vivian says, no compromise on frivolous spending of taxpayer money. Stephen, the Republicans have proven over the last 6 decades of my life that they either have no backbone and just let things happen, or they are more worried about the citizens and give in to get things moving, even if it hurts the country in the long term. So Stephen thinks Republicans will give in. Bob, I believe that they will compromise because the Dems' depravity knows no limits.
It is funny. Every few days they have a new, blame game. Play. Like yesterday it was illegal. It's illegal for Trump to do this to SNAP benefits. Illegal. Yeah. Every one of them. Illegal.
Even our state Attorney General, Nick Brown,
every
Donald
one of
Trump. All right, let's get to other comments from the show today. Happy Halloween, Veronica. $100 super chat?
Wow.
That'll pay for both of our costumes.
That will.
Mine was pretty cheap. I just had this bald head thing.
Maybe I won't return the handcuffs.
You're going to use them and return them? Nicole's like, I'm going to keep those handcuffs. You know what I'm saying? Wow, Nicole. Veronica says, love the costumes. However, I love your show even more. Thank you. I always laugh at our Halloween show, though, because clips online are forever. And depending on when people watch it, it's like, oh, little jump scare. Old Sub Sailor for the Halloween Costume Fund. Lil Miss J. Oh, my God, Brandi, you freaked me out with your costume. Thought I had the wrong channel till I heard your voice. Happy Halloween, everyone. Moon Goddess says, great costumes, everyone. Boo on Patreon. I'm crying laughing at Nicole's costume. I know. I was dying when I walked in and figured out what it was.
Oh, we didn't even bring out our guesses.
Oh, what was your... So yesterday, we always lock in our guess because we don't tell each other what we're going to be the day before. What did you guess that I was going to be?
So your clue to me was that it was a total transformation and you were very concerned about getting to the airport after and having to...
I was going to be casual.
Yeah,
yes.
To transform back to yourself. And so my guess was the Rocky Horror Picture Show drag queen.
Oh, that would have been good. The drag queen who dressed as Rocky Horror Picture Show at the elementary school parking lot.
Yeah.
I guessed you were going to be a No Kings protester.
See, you were kind of close.
Yeah. So it's
I
kind
thought
of the
you were
same
kind of
thing.
going to go there.
Yeah. Let's see if Anthony says Frandy Betterman. JJ Beck, it's so weird to hear your voice coming from John Fetterman. Super creepy, but the best costume ever. On my tour of the ice facility, Big Princess, I cannot stop with this. Is this what men do all day?
Yes, they do.
Just doing one of these here. I don't think I'm going to be able to get it off, and that's going to be troubling. But in Seattle, I'll know I'll be welcomed as a non-conforming, non-binary airline passenger. So if you see me at SeaTac, don't make fun of me. Clunkers, the cops get, Big Princess, $10 super chat. Working with protesters is the same as negotiating with terrorists for the police down in Portland. Yeah, it's not cool. Clunkers, the cop gets bossed around by teenagers in masks that don't even know what gender they are. Cassandra Leroy, I love that you are inside with ICE. So tired of the street angle. Yeah, and I have more video stuff I'm going to put out in a longer YouTube clip. On Katie Wilson trying to defend herself as a Nepo baby, Rick Johnson, Katie Wilson has no experience or business running for mayor, let alone becoming mayor. Now that is unbelievable. Yeah, I agree. Let's see, Bruce Harrell being desperate, sitting down with conservative hosts to try to plead his case. Bill Biz, Seattle residents should fully experience what they vote for, might possibly change behavior. President America says on blaming businesses for crime, Councilmember Dillon of Spokane believes that too. He blamed businesses for the negative environment in downtown Spokane. I want that clip. That's crazy. Yeah. Let's see. Papa Woody on Bruce's assertion that businesses should be tracking why they're being robbed. Doesn't matter why, Bruce. And I agree. It doesn't matter why.
We all know. It's because
we all want, yes.
You and the lack of support that you give them.
It's wild. Bill Gates admitting climate change won't kill us after all. Necro Two Shoes, I feel bad for all those millennials who aren't saving up for retirement because they think climate change is going to kill everyone. Yes. Robert Parker asserts that Gates' downplaying of climate change is easy to understand. He needs massive power availability for AI and windmills, and solar won't put a dent in it. Interesting. Florida Report on the socialist mayoral candidate. Matt asks, does she have a bed frame? Yeah, because apparently Katie Wilson, I'm not a Nepo baby. I don't even have a bed frame. Oh, wow.
You know, I really think that this is circle the troops to like take back everything because she realized she was in trouble with her taxes because they...
Probably.
I think she just said what she said, and then her mom's like, you can't say that I give you that much money.
Right. Because we don't file it on taxes.
We don't file or you don't claim it and whatever. And they're like, oh, we don't give her that much. We just give her a little bit
pay for childcare. Yeah. And we'll end here. The last, Robespierre. Wow, someone from the media actually pushed back. Yeah, those two Miami anchors were good at pushing back against that socialist. Like, no, lady, weirdo.
Like I said, I can't even believe they gave her the airtime.
Yeah, it's kind of shocking because she's clearly, but it's interesting to watch someone that unhinged wanting to run for office. Okay, we'll get to our closing sanity check next. First, with talk of an AI bubble, are you concerned with the risk exposure of your retirement portfolio? How confident are you in how you're positioned for 2026? Well, if the answer is, I don't know, Brandi, I'm not sure or not very confident, join Bulwark Capital Zach Abraham for his Review Preview live webinar, November 20th at 3:30 p.m. Pacific. Nicole, stop playing with your costume. What are you playing with your handcuffs over there?
I just took them off. Sorry.
Put your boobs back in. Balloons. Where was I? Zach's Review Preview live webinar, November 20th. You have so many accoutrements with your costume. 3:30 p.m. Pacific. It's their final webinar of the year. They'll discuss the impact AI is having on the market and our preview for 2026, how Bulwark's deployment of value investing is to retirement portfolios, how critical it is, plus a full reveal of how Bulwark is always looking for opportunities to lower risk, lower cost, give your retirement as much upside as possible. So register now for the free November 20th webinar. Schedule your free Know Your Risk portfolio review while you're at it, and subscribe to Zach's daily market recap at knowyourriskpodcast.com. knowyourriskpodcast.com. And with that, let's get to today's edition of Sanity Check. So this is what I was talking about from a shutdown perspective. Once the media turns on you as Democrats, they kind of got you over a barrel. You need to be able, is that the phrase? They've got you over a barrel. I think it is. I don't know. And so I think that's why Democrats will probably be the ones to give in to end the government shutdown, because here's CNN's Jake Tapper with Democratic Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury.
Should the Democratic senators from New Mexico, your home state, vote to open the government so that these SNAP funds are not at risk?
Let me be clear. The administration is choosing to starve American children with money that they already have appropriated.
I'm not applauding their tactics.
The White House. Well, this is a choice by the White House.
And this
they
is
are
also,
choosing
Congresswoman,
to cut
this is
off
also a
food
choice
assistance.
by Senate Democrats
No,
to not
it is
vote to
not.
open the government. Yes, it is.
The
I understand
Senate-
why they're doing it. They're doing it because they want Medicaid funds restored. They're doing it because they want Obamacare premiums to be extended past the end of the year. I understand the reasoning.
Sir, let me just be clear. The money for contingency plans is sitting there. That is why the states are suing. The White House is withholding funds from
2 to 3
children
weeks worth
to
of
have
SNAP funds.
food.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it may not be a big deal to you, but let me
It is
tell
a big
you
deal
that
to
for
me.
the grandparents, for
It is
grandparents
a big deal
that
to me.
literally are feeding their children,
My point
to
is that
not
it's a
have
short-term
money
solution.
in those accounts.
It's a
doesn't
short-term-
matter. At the end of the day, people need to be able to feed their families, and Saturday is when those funds
If you
run
feel
out,
so
and
strongly,
we are fighting to
Congresswoman,
get
why
that
not
funding.
ask the Senate Democrats from New Mexico to vote to open the government so that the SNAP funds...
Sir, I am here in the House of Representatives. It is shut down. I am fighting to get the government reopened. I am fighting to get funding put back into SNAP that is already existent, and I am fighting for the American people. I am here. But show me a single Republican that is here. Not a single one is here to make sure that Americans are fed on Saturday. That is why I am here.
Yeah, you could tell that she was so rehearsed and really thought CNN, I mean, you could tell by the way she's delivering it, totally rehearsed. She thought CNN would just allow her to spew whatever, and good for Jake Tapper for pushing back. But you also saw her reaction. She snapped at him and she made it personal about Jake Tapper because it's so unusual for them to get that level of pushback from CNN. So I don't think it's going well for Democrats. All right, Nicole, you want to come back on camera one time for our closing? How am I going to get this off? It is so stuck on. I really enjoyed being John Fetterman. I really enjoyed it. I was going to do, he had...
I didn't really enjoy this because it's not my typical pretty costume.
Yes,
but
yes, you're a crazy, deranged signature gatherer, harasser. Oh, I got arrested.
And yeah, I will never cut my hair short. It's not going to be my thing.
It looks surprisingly realistic, though. Like, it doesn't necessarily look like a wig.
Oh, it was very cheap.
Yeah. That has been our 2025 Halloween edition of Undivided. We're not going to be here tomorrow. We will have an episode of Sundays with subscribers on Sunday. You might have heard that Heritage Distilling is closing down its locations it's actually brick and mortar locations in Washington and Oregon. So we're going to have the head of Heritage on to talk about that decision. And that's it. If you'd like to, thank you, Nicole.
Yeah.
If you'd like to sign up to support our
Happy
show,
Halloween.
you can do that. Happy Halloween. For just $5 a month by signing up at undividedpod.com, undividedpod.com. We've gotten a lot of new subscribers in the last couple weeks. We appreciate everyone who's helping us grow our mission and our movement to give common sense a comeback. The more people we can reach, the more people we can bring over to the side of sanity and common sense. So you guys have an actual good Halloween, which is Friday, I think. I heard the weather's going to be atrocious if you're in the Seattle area. But you know what? Bring your umbrellas. Bring your umbrellas. That's all I got. I'll see subscribers on Sunday. The rest of you back here for the live show Monday at noon.